Alright guys, I'm back with another chapter in Genesis. We're in Genesis chapter 30 and we're continuing the story of Jacob. Here we go. When Rachel was... sorry guys, just woke up from a nap. It was a long week, so... When Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She pleaded with Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Then Jacob became furious with Rachel. "Am I God?" he asked. "He's the one who has kept you from having children." Then Rachel told him, "Take my maid, Bilhah, and sleep with her. She will bear children for me, and through her I can have a family too." So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and he slept with her. Bilhah became pregnant and presented him with a son. Rachel named him Dan, for she said, "God has vindicated me. He has heard my request and given me a son." Then Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel named him Naphtali, for she said, "I have struggled hard with my sister and I am winning." Meanwhile, Leah realized she wasn't getting pregnant anymore, so she took her servant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Soon Zilpah presented him with a son. Leah named him Gad, for she said, "How fortunate I am." Then Zilpah gave Jacob a second son, and Leah named him Asher, for she said, "What joy is mine! Now the other women will celebrate with me." One day during the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes growing in a field and brought them to his mother. Rachel brought him to his mother Leah. Rachel begged Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But Leah angrily replied, "Wasn't it enough that you stole my husband? Now, will you steal my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel answered, "I will let Jacob sleep with you tonight if you give me some of the mandrakes." So that evening, as Jacob was coming home from the fields, Leah went out to meet him. "You must come and sleep with me tonight," she said. "I have paid for you with some mandrakes that my son found." So that night he slept with Leah, and God answered Leah's prayers. She became pregnant again and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. She named him Issachar, for she said, "God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband as a wife." Then Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. She named him Zebulun, for she said, "God has given me a good reward. Now my husband will treat me with respect, for I have given him 6 sons." Later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel's plight and answered her prayers by enabling her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. "God has removed my disgrace," she said, and she named him Joseph. For she said, May the Lord add yet another son to my life, or another son to my family. Goodness, oof. Jacob's wealth increases. Soon after Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Please release me so I can go home to my own country. Let me take my wives and children, for I have earned them by serving you, and let me be on my way. You certainly know how hard I have worked for you." "Please listen to me," Laban replied. "I have become wealthy, for the Lord has blessed me because of you. Tell me how much I owe you. Whatever it is, I'll pay it." Jacob replied, "You know how hard I've worked for you, and how your flocks and herds have grown under my care. You had little, indeed, before I came, but your wealth has increased enormously. The Lord has blessed you through everything I've done. But now, what about me? When can I start providing for my own family?" "What wages do you want?" Laban asked again. Jacob replied, "Don't give me anything. Just do this one thing, and I'll continue to tend and watch over your flocks. Let me inspect your flocks today and remove all the sheep and goats that are speckled or spotted, along with all the black sheep. Give these to me as my wages. In the future, when you check on the animals you have given me as my wages, you'll see that I have been honest. If you find in my flock any goats without speckles or spots, or any sheep that are not black, you will know that I have stolen them from you." "All right," Laban replied. "It will be as you say." But that very day Laban went out and removed the male goats that were streaked and spotted. all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, or had white patches, and all the black sheep. He placed them in the care of his own sons, who took them a 3 days' journey from where Jacob was. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and cared for the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took some fresh branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and peeled off strips of bark, making white streaks on them. Then he placed these peeled branches in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, for that was where they mated. And when they mated in front of the white streaked branches, they gave birth to young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated those lambs and Laban's flock, and at mating time he turned the flock to face Laban's animals that were streaked or black. This is how he built his own flock instead of increasing Laban's. Whenever the stronger females were ready to mate, Jacob would place the peeled branches in the watering troughs in front of them. Then they would mate in front of the branches. But he didn't do this with the weaker ones, so the weaker lambs belonged to Laban, and the stronger ones were Jacob's. As a result, Jacob became very wealthy, with large flocks of sheep and goats, female and male servants, and many camels and donkeys. All right. So, again, I'm confused at the transition from Old Testament to New Testament. I'm confused at the relationship of Jacob, his wives, his servants of his wives, and how there was a level of just simple competition with one another, and how God still blessed them through all that. I know that has a lot to do. I mean, it has to be. Again, I don't even know if that's probably too strong. I know. I don't really know. I make assumptions based on my understanding of life and its applications. It is confusing to see how God blessed a man sleeping with a wife, then another wife, then that wife's servant, and then another wife's servant, all to get back at one another, simply to say, I want to make sure that I have favor from this man, and I want to make sure that he has eyes only for me, and the constant back and forth, understanding that is still what brought upon what really God promised. And so I just get confused when they say that God is blessing this. God blesses us even through our mistakes. But I'm curious to see if he thinks that was done in a manner befitting one of his children. Simply because they weren't required to do those things, constantly deceiving one another, constantly voting to see who is best, to see who's first, to see who's going to get everything. And there's like such a level of selfishness in these decisions. And, is it deceptive what Jacob did with Laban's flock? As far as, okay, hey, I only want the spotted ones or the ones with the blemishes, okay. And be finding a way to create them artificially, controlling the flock and how it bred. Is that deceitful? Did he do the right thing? Is that what he was supposed to do? So that confuses me, and I don't think that that's something that I can really study. I think that that's just something that I just got to do some soul searching with. I know that God uses us and calls us to do things, and that even when we make mistakes, he blesses us through them because we have a heart for him. But when it seems like you're taken from somebody else, I have a hard time figuring out how God's going to bless you through that. And so, is it simply because he has a covenant with Abraham and that he promised and that this is supposed to be? I don't know, because then what does that mean for me? Me being a good person, is that not necessary simply because I believe and I have sown myself in, or he has sown me into the promise of that covenant simply because I believe? I don't think so. I think that there's an expectation of follow through and love and pursuing him. And not to say, again, another reflection, not to say that they're not actively pursuing him in these moments. It just confuses me because when they write these things down, it seems like major character flaws. But then again, I could find that even more reassuring simply because I have a bunch of character flaws, and he still loves me, and he still follows through for me and blesses me like that. And so I'm befuddled. I guess I'll just say that I'm befuddled. And I guess that's a good thing to be, simply because I see what he does for me. And am I simply casting stones and not realizing my own wickedness when I reflect on the struggles of 4 women voting for a man's love that they just want to simply provide and be? And so, I don't know. I'm going to keep reading, though, and keep loving. On that note, have a good night. God bless. I love you. Jesus loves you. And tomorrow I'll read chapter 31, where the header reads, Jacob returns home. Jacob flees from Laban. Again, more fleeing, more maybe not doing the right thing, but still, God's still blessing us through it. That's crazy. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.